This is when Jay started stripping. Jay and I wanted to get cats, or a cat. So first and back then, there was this thing called like the newspaper or the nickel ads, which was basically just a different kind of newspaper. We found somebody that found a cat that kind of was like wild or something, and they kind of got him a little bit, you know. Jay would just start coming home with cats. So I believe the next cat that she came home with, we named Smoke. There's going to be some bad cat stories here. If you're squeamish, I mean, these are all my cat stories, but some of them are bad and sad. So if you're squeamish, this is about animals, which I am. I hate to hear this kind of. I hated having to live through this. Trust me. But anyway, this is a warning for this video. So this cat, the backstory was supposedly the cat had been in some kind of testing facility and was being tested on its whole life, and when we got it, its tongue was so swollen up it wouldn't eat, and it died like not very long after we got it. And it died of like advanced feline leukemia or some like that. I mean, it was just like, and I don't know if I was getting the straight story out of Jay or not. I don't know what the deal was, if she was just finding these cats. But what had happened, and I just remembered this, she had a cat when I met her. Her cat's name was Missy, and it was a patchwork cat with black and orange, another color too. And it would go outside at her apartment, and she lived like over in this little area in West Portland. And so when we moved her from that apartment to this house, that cat got out at the house. Now, just to kind of put this into context for you, she was in West Portland, and what separates West Portland from East Portland is the Willamette River. And there's only like 7 bridges over the Portland area. Maybe 8 now, but one doesn't have cars. So, and 2 are freeway bridges. Well, the cat got out of the house on the east side on 50, so that's 50 blocks away from the river, and then her house was a similar distance, probably a bit farther. This cat made it all the way back to her apartment. Amazing. Amazing. And we know this because she went back there and found the cat and got the cat and brought the cat back. And then the cat got out again and never came back. That is what started us, you know, like, oh, we gotta get her cat. We lost her cat. So we started getting cats. We had this cat Smoke for a hot second, and it died. And it was just always such a weird story, like, sad, very sad. Like the cat spent its life being tested on, and then they gave it feline leukemia or some shit. I mean, I don't even know if that was true, but cat literally just sat there and never ate and just kind of died. It was super sad. And you know, I think I buried the cat in the backyard of that house. And that wasn't the only cat, unfortunately. So the next cat she got was an all black cat. So Smoke was kind of like, well, I already said long-haired gray cat was Psycho. Long-haired, basically white, but Hempy had like some patterning on him. And then like, you know, like beige and a little orange in there. And then Smoke was like long black hair that kind of had a grayish undertone to. And then Resin was completely black. So Resin, another sad story. And I remember like super crying about this. Like, this is just depressing as to me that these cats were dying. But so Resin died because we were feeding him cheap ass food. You know, just buying the cheap at the store, not really knowing any better, I guess. And honestly, I think I kind of left it up to Jay. But times got tough. We were growing and not taking in weed, and then the bust happened and we lost a bunch of money, and you know, it was just always feast or famine. And the cats were probably paying the price. And so then she brought home like 3 kittens, tiny little kittens, right? I think it was 3. Sativa, Indica, I think we named one Stogsies. So one day I come home and the fleas were so bad. I mean, I used to get into bed and just pick fleas off me for like 25 minutes before I'd go to sleep, or else I'd just get eaten alive, right? The cats, literally, I come home one day, it's summer, it's just hot. The cats literally have fleas so thick you can see the fleas running across their chins. And like a retard, I think the solution is to put the cats in water. And the cats are trying to get out, and I'm trying to push it back in, and I broke this little kitten's neck trying to push it back in the tub. I put all the cats in the tub at the same time instead of trying to just deal with it one at a time. And then they're all trying to get out, and I'm trying to push them back in, and I broke this little kitten's neck trying to push her back in the tub. She's trying to get out. I had to sit there and watch her die. This is 25 years ago. It's my brain forever. Never forgive myself for this. I don't even think I finished the story about how Resin died, now that I'm thinking about it. Like Resin, where I started talking about the cheap food, and he got a urinary blockage and literally died of his bladder exploding. So, and I buried Resin in the backyard after he died, and we spent probably about, and this was really a defining moment in Jay and I's relationship, because we tried to save the cat by taking it to the emergency hospital, and they weren't able to save him, and he died. And we had this huge vet bill. I think huge was like $700 or something. So this is when Jay started stripping. We had a friends couple that we hung out with, and she was a stripper, and I had hooked up with Jay. She's hot, little part Native American with a brand new set of fake boobs. So she decided to put those boobs to work, and she started to strip. And that ended up in that'll be another story, because I'm telling the cat story, but that's pertinent to this story because literally that vet bill is what started her stripping. Then fast forward to the 3 kittens, and then after burying, I think her name was Sativa. That was very sad. In the backyard. So I'm pretty sure I buried 3 cats in the backyard of that house, but maybe only 2, because it's possible that Risen died at the vet and the vet just took care of it. They probably didn't send you home with your dead animal normally. I don't know though. Jay took it. So after that, we just had those cats, and then we moved out to this other house. And while we were there, she came home with another batch of kittens, which those kittens, I don't even remember any of those kittens' names, to be honest with you. It was like 3 or 4 more kittens. We moved out to this like 5-acre place out in Molalla, Oregon, and it was like so far off the street you couldn't even see it from a road, and then it was fully landscaped, like an acre, so it was a nice place. And you know, it basically was the end of our relationship because it was a lot of money to piss away on a place. It was $1,000 a month. In the early 90s, $1,000 was a lot. I'm sure there's some kind of equation, but we had like 11 or 9, I don't know, I can't really remember, but it was a lot of cats when we broke up. And basically when we broke up, like, I loaded all our stuff into a 26, and we were just broke. Like, basically what happened is we were weed growers, and we moved out to that house to grow weed, and we had a crop that was kind of failing because I was like trying to make money to pay the bills by selling weed, and this house was so far away from where I sold weed, I was spending all my time driving back and forth. And he was stripping and kind of supporting everything, and I was selling the weed and, you know, just kind of scraping by. The landlords, before we could get a crop off, the landlords, so they wanted to inspect the house like 6 months to the date after we moved in, and I had to pull everything down and wrap everything up, and then they came and inspect the house, and I could never get it turned around. I had nothing but problems. Like, I'd set up a system and then I was like, okay, I gotta go and leave and hope that it would just run, and I'd come back and everything's flooded and just a nightmare. So we lost that house. I had packed up everything and was moving into Stoggs' house, and I packed all my into his house, and I think Jay was even there for a second. She moved in with her girlfriend. But the cats were all locked. When we left all the cats at the house. Like, we moved everything out and left all the cats there to come get. And the freaking landlords packed all the cats into what? It was like a big dog carrier size, but literally like, you know, like this big, all cats. And, you know, the poor cats were just, you know, sad again, very sad. Then, I was living in my, like, I mean, everything just crumbled in my life at that point for quite a while. I'll tell all these stories. I'm just telling the cat stories right now. That was the story of the cats, of the relationship with Jay from start to end. Now, I still have a lot of stories to tell about that whole time of my life and that relationship. But that was the cats. And some very sad stories to have to tell about the cats that to this day I've never stopped being sad about that. Those cats. I mean, not as much the smoke cat as much as the resin and the sativa. And it's just sad. So I ended up having Psycho and Hempy with me and living in my truck with them. And then I left Hempy with my grandparents and took Psycho and moved into my apartment. I think I can only have one cat, maybe in an apartment or something like that. But I think then, I don't know what, I think they gave, I don't know what the grandparents did with Hempy. I think they probably gave it back to the shelter or something like that. I would have to guess, because I remember my grandpa telling me when I went back over, like, where's Hempy? Hempy scratched your grandma. So that was like the end of Hempy. And the end of Psycho was I had a little apartment in downtown Portland. And then I had this whole thing to where I had to go on the run for this whole banking thing that I'll talk about in a later episode. I left Psycho in that apartment and left a roommate in that apartment and went on the run for 6 months or something like that. When I came back, the Psycho peed on my bag, and I rubbed his nose in it and spanked him, which is totally wrong. Then, not very long after that, he got out, and I never saw him again. He got out of downtown Portland, and he probably ended his life the same way he started his life, which he started his life as a feral cat, and the lesbians rescued him. And then I failed him. He was mad at me for leaving him. So, super sad again.